starting a little bit later than we usually do right now. All of a sudden, I realized that my room was really hot and I needed some air conditioning. So I just want to start off with today saying hello, welcome to this third class of the Found series. And I'm just going to wait for a couple more people to come in. I have been seeing all of your different messages, those that are from the live and those that have responded from watching the recorded recordings. All of your comments have touched me so much. So I guess we're going to start right now. So like I said, this is the third class in the Found series. This is a series where we try to truly dive into ourselves, truly find out who we are. In the first class, we talked about how finding ourselves and why is it important to find yourself. The reason why you find yourself. Now, the reason is so that we become more resistant to outside manipulation, that we have this specific control over our lives, to know who we are so well and ingrained in us that outside forces, outside banter just can't move us from who we are. In the second class, we talked about how we've taken on like this automatic identity, this identity that is influenced by our surroundings, by our different connections through our lives, the connections with our caregivers, our family members, our friends, our society, the world at large, and how they put certain expectations on us, and how we tend to internalize those expectations and act accordingly to how they expect us to act, to go after the goals that we are expected to go through. Now, for the last two classes, each class I had mentioned to give you a little bit of homework. That homework was to take the free Myers-Briggs personality test and or the Big Five personality test. And this is the class where we're going to go dive into those tests and why I suggested you take these tests. Now, both of these tests, let's first talk about personality tests. What are personality tests? Are they just this fun, kooky way to sort of say, oh, to really identify yourself as part of a group? We've all taken those like BuzzFeed quizzes where you're like, what house are you in Harry Potter, or what kind of fairy you are, or what kind of sports fan you are. Those personality tests we take for fun. It's always, even I have to admit, taking personality tests are kind of cool. They're cool. You get a little laugh. You're like, and sometimes you really agree with what the personality test comes out. And sometimes you don't agree so much. But Alana, I can hear you say. So if you don't always agree with personality tests, why did you suggest us take one? Well, I suggest you take these two particular ones because these are the two tests that really opened my eyes to finding who I was. Now I'm going to start with the Big Five, the Big Five personality test. Now, the Big Five personality test does sort of, in this current age, recognize the spectrum. Just like in the last couple 5, 6 years, 7 years, we've learned that everyone lives along the spectrum. Some people feel like sexuality is on a spectrum, uh, whether you are different disorders such as autism and ADHD can all be summed up on a spectrum. Sometimes you're really far, and sometimes you're just a little bit. The Big Five really supports that idea of the needle being able to move, because you don't get an exact reading. You get a reading on a sliding scale. So the Big Five sort of defines your personality in 5 different traits. Those 5 traits are your openness, your conscientiousness, your extroversion, your agreeableness, and your neurotic, how neurotic you are. The word that they use is a little too complicated for me today, so we're just going to say that. And they put it on sort of like a line. And based off of your results, they tell you how open or less open you are, how conscientious you are versus how spontaneous you are, how extroverted you are versus how introverted you are. It shows that you are on a spectrum and how that spectrum can move, flow from one side to another based off of when you take the test. It's a true way to sort of see that we are not finite human beings. Our emotions can change. How we see the world can change. Now, I love the Big Five. It has shown me, especially in certain areas. Like for me, it is the neuroticism, how neurotic you are. That on when I take the test, every so often, every year or so, that gauge can move quite consistently. All my other ones are pretty stable. And it's always interesting for me to say, okay, I may have this idea of me being very stable, but there is times where I'm a little more sporadic, where I'm a little more feeling oriented. Like I feel that my decisions come from my emotions more than from actual thinking through things. And it really opened my eyes to how different I can be. Now, the Big Five is not my favorite personality test between the two. My actual favorite one is actually the Myers-Briggs test. So the Myers-Briggs test has the results that you get from it. You get these little letters, and sometimes you're a little wondering, what do these letters mean? And for me, when I took the Myers-Briggs test, it opened my eyes to not only how people perceived me, but how I actually perceived the world. because for a long time I couldn't put words to how I saw the world. Common things in movies and television, when you have the main character, it was very rare I saw the main character the exact same way as I did. The main character didn't always see the world the way I did. And it was very lonely. And I felt very lost, very isolated, because communication with other people don't always go as well as we hope. I just felt like I couldn't communicate with other people. But after taking the Myers-Briggs test, and after researching my particular designation, I'm an INFJ, for those of you who are wondering. After I dug into that, it opened my eyes in terms of who I am and a much better understanding of what I am good at and what do I gravitate towards. Now, I've talked about these little letters. Now, what are these little letters mean? So the Myers-Briggs breaks up your personality in 8 different ways. It breaks it up whether you're introverted or extroverted, whether you are sensory or intuitive. This is the way, let me back this up. Hold on. I have my notes here to help me organize my thoughts. So first, the Myers-Briggs breaks up how do you interact with the world and where we direct our energy. Now, are you an extrovert in the world or are you an introvert in the world? The next letter in the Myers-Briggs tells you the kind of information we naturally notice. How do we naturally take in information? Are we intuitive? Are we more intuitive in how we make decisions, or are we more sensory? Do we need physical proof? How do we inform ourselves? The next letter in the Myers-Briggs asks, how do we make decisions? When we are faced with a big choice, do we make our decisions based on feeling, or do we make our decisions through thinking out all the different possibilities? The next to the last letter in the Myers-Briggs is how we like to structure our lives. Do we like to stand back and perceive everything, get a nice overview of what's going on around you? Or do we like to zero in on what's happening and make a judgment call right then and there? Now, with each one of these different answers, introvert or extrovert, sensory or intuitive, thinking or feeling, or judger or perceiving, they assign a letter to it. Now, these personality tests, their answers are not something that you just take and you move on. It's not something where it gives you an answer and you say, okay, so I'm an INFJ. Okay, that's what I am. Good job. Let's go. That's not the purpose of any one of these tests, or the tests looking at, oh, I'm a little more introverted rather than extroverted right now when you're looking at the big five. It's not the result that truly gets the new understanding of yourself. It is what you find behind it. For the Myers-Briggs, it's a bit easier because they have designated letters. And here on this app, you can look up, hey, what is INFJ? What are their traits? What kind of jobs do they like? And there are tons of videos that give you insight on your particular personality based on the Myers-Briggs, on what you are good at, how you see the world, what kind of jobs gravitate towards you. Even if you are in a job that you love, you may even find that the job that you love right now is exactly what the INFJ or exactly what the Myers-Briggs said you would be great at. Or you'll find out that the job you're working for is not it. That you don't like your job, but maybe some other job that other people who have your personality type may like better, may draw your interest, draw your curiosity to a more focused point. And it is through the personality tests that we can check some of our blind spots. You see, we may know a little bit about ourselves, but we don't always know everything about ourselves. Our minds are very cunning. It can hide parts of your personality from yourself. But what I like about these personality tests, these two personality tests, they lay who you are bare. You can't, it's very difficult to hide yourself as you're answering those questions. You're able to truly see how you see yourself, how you move in the world, and how others perceive you. To see your strengths, your weaknesses, and you can truly see, okay, this is who I am. This is what I'm good at. And it's at this point in this class that we start gathering what we've had before. Remember those lists, the last class, the list in which we had all of your influences from your parents, from your friends, and you can compare it to your personality test and see if you see any commonalities. Are you introverted? But there is a learned personality that your mom or your dad told me, you should be quiet so you don't talk. There are those connections between your personality and how you were raised. Maybe you find that things that you believe, things that you have taken on from others, from friends, family, society, don't match your personality. And I find that that's a point of struggle. That is a point of tension. You're an extroverted person, but you keep yourself small because that's what everyone expects of you. So now that you see these things laid bare, what do I do with it? How do I make my next goal now that I see who I am in lists, on paper, in tests? At this time, I want to let you know that I have a couple slots open to help you personally find yourself in this wide world and help you get the goals that you want to pursue. I do have a couple of slots available both on Sunday night and on Monday nights. You would work with me for 6 weeks, starting next month in August. For 6 weeks, we would be able to work one-on-one over Zoom. In the chat right now, I'm going to put in a link to a Google form where you can sign up to have that first initial meeting with me, where we can talk to each other and see if we are a match, if I can truly help you, because I want to help, because I feel it is my mission to help people know who they are and go after the dreams that they want to dream. Separate from what society asks of you, separate from anybody's idea of who you are. It's time to live your life truly and fully. So if you're interested, there's a link in the chat. Fill out that Google form and we'll have a nice 45-minute talk where I can see if I can help you. There's also going, for those of you who are looking on the recording, there will also be a link in the description down below. And I hope to see you soon. And I hope we get to work together. Now, next week, there is another class. And in this class, we actually will talk more about putting all of this self-research, this self-discovery that we've done over these last couple weeks, and how to fit it together to make a plan to move forward in your life. So until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.